All right. Well, yeah, I'm Jordan, one of the admins on the page here for the fly time. We're gonna go over a winter steelhead variation that I got. It's kind of like a streamer, like an intruder style. I'm gonna switch up the colors on this though tonight. I'm gonna do blue back here, and then I'm gonna do black at the front. But same concept and everything. I'm just trying to get a dark fly in my box here. So yeah, we're gonna start off with I think this is a pro sport fisher tube that I got. We're gonna be using some aquafly intruder eyes, and then I'll kind of hold up each material as I do it. First thing we're gonna start off with is I've already cut down. I like cutting my tubes. I kind of switch them up. I use the junction tubing of the sport fisher tubing, and then I have like a harder tube because I like being able to crank my thread down. I was found with the sport fisher, if you crank your thread down too much on these tube holders, it'll lock your tube to your tube holder, and getting it off is a pain in the butt. I'm just trying to save everyone a heartache. I had to destroy like 2 flies like that. First thing I'm going to start off with is a little pink little hot spot bump in the butt. I'm going to grab a little dubbing here, about quarter size. I know Tyler likes wrapping his on. I'm a big fan of composite loop, so I'm just going to create a little composite loop just to do this real quick. I will go over that. So what I do is let me redo that real quick. I'm going to go over the composite loop so people understand it. So what you do is you pull your finger down. Let me scoot my camera back so you guys can see everything. So the way you're going to start a composite loop, pull your finger down, wrap your thread around it. You're going to lock it off on your tube there. And then what I do is I pass it around 2 times. 1, 2, locked it. And then I give it 3 turns. That's all you need is 3, and it locks it. And then I will then just work my thread forward. Let me rail it back up. Hold it down. Work my thread forward a little bit, give myself just a little bit of space. Take your dubbing spinner there, put that in there. Take your dubbing that you have. I'm just gonna go ahead and place it. I'm gonna place it 50-50 inside my composite loop, just because this is gonna be a dubbing ball for me. Then I'm gonna kind of pull some of that dubbing down my composite loop just to create a longer thread to get myself more coverage. So I'm just gonna spin that up, let it spin. Your thread's gonna start working itself. It's gonna start trapping all those fibers in there. I give it a couple good spins, lock that stuff down in there good. You don't want none going anywhere. Then I take a little Jimmy rigged dubbing brush that I have here, just a nice old Sharpie with some Velcro at the end. Works super good. And I just give that a nice picking real quick, get out any of the nice little loose fibers, and then start wrapping. I'm going to go with my thread so that when I do go to lock it down, it kind of locks everything down tight with it. And I'm going to wrap right over each other, kind of like sandwiching some of the fibers. When I get down to my last wrap right here, I'm going to pull all my fibers back. Get your finger wet. I know I just licked my finger, but I have a little cup right here with like a paper towel, damp paper towel. It really helps. Get your fingers wet, pull all that stuff back, give one nice wrap and lock all that stuff backwards. And I give one more. Let that dangle. Pull your stuff back, and then you're going to lock it. So I give one wrap around, cross your dubbing spinner, give one wrap. That's 3 wraps. But check that out. I'm going to try and tie this a little smaller, so I'm going to try and really pay attention to my wraps there. So I got my dubbing ball there. I'm going to go ahead and get this excess dubbing, put that back in the package. That's just going to be like a little hot spot back on the end of my fly here, so that just gives the fish something to look at. Now, people probably do this 1,000 different ways, but this is how I like to do it. I'm gonna take some rubber legs. These are purple and black rubber legs. I'm gonna take off 2 strands here. Just break that apart. Go ahead and break that apart. Then you're going to fold these over to where the ends match up. You're gonna grab those, create yourself a little loop, cut that in half. There you got 4. I'm gonna tie these on each side. This should just kind of be like a tail for me down here. I'm gonna go 1, 2, come to the other side real quick. And I think it was Ken that showed me this trick here, Ken Floyd. He's on the page. I'm gonna go ahead and show you what I'm gonna do here. So I did two wraps to lock down that other side, right? I'm gonna do 2 wraps to lock down that side. I'm gonna adjust my stuff, make sure that I got it kind of even. I'm going to pinch it, hold it where I want it, and I'm gonna back those 4 wraps off. So therefore, those are just floating there now, and you're not, creating so much thread bulk. So then wrap those down loosely the first time, lock it. That's 1, 2, 3, and then I'm just gonna work my way forward, locking the rest of those down. So I'm gonna go ahead and start my body here. I'm going to take some pink guinea as just kind of like another little hot spot, and this is going to help prop up my back, kind of like tail shoulder. I'm not exactly sure what you would want to call that, but go ahead and get this tied in real quick. And I've already prepped this, so this is just some pink guinea. So I've if you're holding the feather and it's facing towards you and it's curving away from you, I'm going to take the feather and I'm going to peel off the left side. This just helps me with wrapping it, and it helps me not have too much of a bulk. Like I said, I'm trying to keep my materials down a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that to a nice V or a delta and tie this in on the bottom side. Move your thread forward. Grab yourself your hackle pliers if you have some. Got some cheap little hackle pliers like that. Go ahead and grab the end. You can grab your scissors. You can grab some pliers if you need. I like using the edge of my scissors. They're not super sharp. If you got some brand new scissors, you might cut your thread or cut your feather tip and be mad at yourself. Go ahead and give these a nice kind of like run your scissors along the stem, and it's gonna like flail out all your feathers there. Get all your stuff pulled back and just start wrapping. And I kind of keep my hackle pliers kind of spun to where it's pushing my feathers backwards as I'm spinning. I've noticed this helps me with getting everything to lay backwards nicer, at least with these guinea feathers.
Hey, Tyler, do you mind letting Ken into the room?
So pull that back, get yourself some nice wraps.
Oh, yeah, they were.
Okay, so I got I think that was 3 wraps right there. I'm gonna go ahead and lock that down. I like how much that is. So I gotta cross my hackle pliers. 1, lock, 2, come back on the other side, and 3. Remove your hackle pliers, and that's just a little bit of a stem, so I'm gonna just tie it. I'm just gonna wrap that in. It's all gonna be hidden anyways. Push that out a little bit. So therefore I got like a little section here that I'm gonna be able to keep my feathers back here propped up better. And it looks pretty sweet. Got some pink, some purple, primetime colors. That's looking good.
And I don't see it.
I'm going to take my blue marabou. This is Fish Hunter's fluorescent blue. Go ahead. So I've picked out a feather. I've took the top half of the feather, and I'm going to kind of strip away a little bit of longer fibers down here, exposing the stem. Then I'm going to take the top of the feather, I'm going to pinch the very top, and I'm going to pull all these down, creating kind of like a little section like that. I'm going to take my scissors. You're going to cut yourself almost like a little V. And I'm going to go ahead and that's what you're going to tie down. So you're going to go ahead and tie that down, lock it down. Ooh, make sure you get everything down. I'm going to work my thread forward because I'm going to start my body after this. So then take your hackle pliers, grab your marabou here. And same thing as you did with your guinea, take the tip of your scissors and run these along the stem, helping all your fibers lay out nice and even, spread them all out. Did we get Ken in here?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I had to go on the phone because I'm in both, or in twice, I guess, and I didn't know which one was an admin.
I see. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start wrapping this around. If your feather starts twisting on you that first wrap, try to get yourself one. I'm gonna try to get myself one wrap, and then kind of catches up with itself. And then I'm gonna start palmering all these fibers backwards, trying not to trap as many as I can. Over time, this becomes a lot easier. First couple of times for guys that are just starting out, you might struggle with this a little bit, but the main concept is trying not to trap as many fibers as you can. And if you do trap some, you can always go back with like your scissors or a needle or something like that and pick them all out. So I'm just going to take my time, go ahead and palmer these all back. These are nice close wraps to each other. Trapped a little bit right there, but hey, that's all right. This is real life. Go ahead and pull my hackle pliers to the edge. Go ahead and let that sit right there. Get your thread back up here, nice, close to your thread. Back off. Say that again.
You keeping this all tight to the back, or are you moving it forward?
Yeah, so I'm keeping this all tight wraps right here to the back. This is going to be my back shoulder.
Yep.
And I'm going to have a body in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and lock this down real quick. That's 2. Let me remove that. This is not that big of a stem, but I do want to cross that stem, make sure I lock it. Let's just get this stem tied in too. All right. So we got like the back portion of the fly kind of done. I'm gonna take my scissors and pick some of this out. Sometimes you'll catch a couple little feathers like that. Try not to if you can. Sometimes this will take a minute to pick out some of this stuff and brush it out. Now I use a Sharpie with the good old Velcro. That's like my go-to dubbing brush. But for these longer fibers, I like or longer materials, I like a toothbrush. Kind of gets in there, gets all that stuff picked out nice and well. So we got that looking. That's the back portion of the fly. So then now I'm going to take some flat silver braid. I'm going to probably pull out I'm gonna pull out probably like, I don't know, what is that, like 3 inches, I would say. Some flat braid, go ahead and cut yourself off. I'm gonna create a thread base here. So I got something to sit on. And I think that's about a good size of a body. Work my way back real quick. Grab your flat braid and go ahead and lock that bad boy down. Pull that down. And then I'm just going to do these. Start at the back. Make this a nice close wrap right there next to the marabou. And what that's going to do is give you a nice clean edge and hide all those. My daughter wants to come in here and she's gonna try and teach you guys how to tie a fly. You wanna see? Yeah, come here. I know you want to come in. So just wrap your flat braid. Is making the body, this is all preference. I'm gonna make this probably like a quarter inch body. And I'm doing like overlapping wraps here to make sure I get good coverage. Bring this all the way down to the edge of your thread here. Oop. You can use hackle pliers right here, but I get kind of lazy. So I'm gonna hold that down like that, and then I'm gonna lock this down right quick. Well, yeah. Okay, lock that material down real quick. Do one over the top and pull it. Give it a nice tight pull. That back the other way. Give that 1, 2, 3. Lock it down. So the way that this is making sense in my head with this fly is I got this back portion of marabou and it's kind of like a tail for me. I got these rubber legs back here. Gives it a nice whipping motion. Mama? Hey, hold on, baby. Daddy's explaining something, okay? It gives a nice whipping motion in the back. And what that's gonna do is kind of make the fish like a reaction, like a predator reaction. It's gonna look like something in distress or like it's scared or something. So with that being said, I got all these nice fibers in the back, give me a nice wiggle. Then I got my body, and what that's going to do is allow my front section to do that same wiggle. So you got 2 different kind of independent wiggle factors in there. You know what I mean? You got 2 different things going on at the same time. So we're gonna go ahead and call that good for right there. I'm going to start another composite loop here. Actually, no, I'm not. Sorry. One step here. I'm gonna take some dumbbell eyes, kind of help balance my fly. Now these are 5/32, so they're super light. I put it in my swim tank, and this fly almost floats. So these eyes are super light. And I'm gonna do. I think if I want to do pink or purple. I'm gonna do some pink. Might as well keep the fashion. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my eyes here. Now past your body there, I'm gonna do maybe an 1/8 inch of thread and then start tying these in. Go under 3 times. Rotate them where you want. Then I go over the top 3 times. Gonna lock it in. Take some Shelly Hansen's and paint your thread. Reel that up a little bit. And then I'm gonna do figure 8s here. So 1. With that Shelly Hansen painted on your thread there, it's going to allow it to cover the whole base of the eye there, kind of helping locking it in. Let that dry just for a quick second. I'm gonna give this a real couple nice locking wraps. So you got your eyes locked in now, right? Go ahead and start our composite loop here. So go right to the edge of my body. I'm gonna pull down, make this probably, I would say 4 inches. Come back up to the top, do 1 wrap, 2 wraps, go around your thread once, go around your thread twice, locking wrap 1, 2, 3, and then work your way over the eye there 1 time, pull your thread down, and then grab your dubbing spinner. I'm gonna just put this in here to lock this down. I have a little magnet on my vise, catches my dubbing spinner there. So now I'm gonna kind of walk you guys through this dubbing loop. What I'm gonna be using here is trying to think what I'm gonna do here. So I'm gonna do a little blue dubbing ball real quick to help prop some of my materials up. This is gonna be like a real small dubbing ball because my composite loop is gonna be most of my prop there. You know what? I'm gonna try something real quick. I'm gonna take out the dubbing ball there, and I'm gonna go just to a composite loop before my rabbit head. Try it out here. See how it works out. You guys can experiment with me. So I pulled out maybe like a 1/4 cent piece again. And I'm gonna take these in my hand like this, and I'm just gonna kind of make all these fibers the same length, stacking them back on top of each other. And then I'll take and kind of put one on top of each other, top and bottom, take out any of that little access because that's a little too much in my opinion. I have a little card here. It has like some lines on there at the center line, just for help, just a reference to get everything centered. And I believe that is roughly 4 inches right there. So I'm gonna spread this out. And I'll try and lift this up so I can show you guys what I'm doing here. So I got my composite loop. I'm gonna kind of spread out my dubbing right here along those center lines, keeping that center line right in the middle. And then I will show you. So that's gonna be like how Jerry French explains it. It's kind of like like a sandwich. You spread that out right as a layer. And then you're going to put your materials on one half of it, and you're going to fold that dubbing over and sandwich all your materials in that composite loop. So I got that spread out, boom, boom. I'm going to take some Predator wrap. This is UV freckled silver. Real good stuff. A lot of different materials you can use in this situation. You can use like angel hair. There's a lot of materials. I haven't really ventured out too much. I like this Predator wrap a lot, but you can use like hackles and ostrich and a whole bunch of stuff. I'm gonna cut off about an inch portion here.
Polar flash works really well too. It's got a nice density to it. It's sort of a bonded nylon and flash, and once fish get at it or you brush it out, it gets adds a nice springy effect to a composite.
What was the name of that material?
It's a hand-drawn material. It's called Polar Flash.
Polar Flash. Okay.
Jerry French actually likes it a lot too in his.
Yeah, I think I got some of that laying around here somewhere, some of that Polar Flash, I think. So yeah, I just take like an inch of that Predator wrap, which is I think very similar to that Polar Flash. Mm-hmm. These are just kind of like UV materials and synthetic materials here. So I just take about an inch. I'm gonna spread them out along my finger here, like yay. And you just kind of flay them out, make them spread apart, and then you're going to put that portion on the bottom half of your composite or your dubbing here. Sorry. Take your scissors. This kind of takes a little bit of time. I'm going to go ahead and spread all these out nice and even, or at least as even as I can before I put it up here in my composite loop and before I'm holding it and trying to do it up here. just try to do as much as I can down here, make it easier on myself. So I'm gonna put that down there in my dubbing. I'm gonna put that. Trying to think. Put some blue Arctic fox in there. Give it like a little natural presence. This too, I'm going to cut off maybe, I don't know, I would say like a half an inch or something. Little bit of material. How about that? A little pinch. Yeah, Tyler, you could probably tie like what, 4 of these by the time I tie up one.
Depends, buddy.
So I'm gonna take my Arctic fox. I'm gonna pull out all these longer, stubborn fibers. It's kind of ugly when they get in the fly. It doesn't really lay right, in my opinion. Get all those longer ones out. What I found, what works really good to kind of evenly get these to space out, hold it in your hand. I'm gonna take the tips in this side. I'm gonna take my toothbrush and I'm just gonna put my thumb on the material and just kind of comb out all the under hair. And at the same time, it's like evening out everything. Gives you a nice base layer to put on your composite loop here. And I'm gonna put that probably, I would say 70-30. Kind of have these on the longer side. Okay, I'm gonna fold this dubbing over and sandwich all that material that I have stacked in there. Open my composite loop here. I just use some water, or you can use like some saliva or something. I think Jerry French uses dubbing wax, but I have not used dubbing wax yet, so I don't have an opinion on that. But I heard it gunks up your flies a little bit. But if the guy himself is using it, it's gotta be good.
It's gotta be the truth, right?
Right? Hey, it's gotta be the truth if he's using it. So let's go ahead and put this in there. So there's my composite loop. Space this out with your fingers, get that all in there. And just like on my index card here, I'm going to put this about 70 and 30%. I'm gonna let this, so I have it coming out at a 90 hanging off so I can work with my materials here. Take your scissors, spin this thread up to where this is all up here. Take your one finger, hold your thread up, and then take your middle finger and kind of press on the bottom side of your predator wrap and all your Arctic fox. It'll allow you to space everything out nice and even. I like trying to get these all, I try to get these where they're not crossing each other, where each individual fiber of the predator wrap is going to at some point touch the thread and get locked in. There's not going to be none trapped on top of each other where it could possibly slide out and come out in the future. Try to get these all spread out in the beginning, just so that you are not watching all your hard work oil in the air as you throw it down the river. I'm going to cut off some of these tag ends because I don't want that much bulk up here. And it kind of helps take down some of your waste. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a nice spin. Let that spin up. Take my pliers, and if you hold right here under, it'll hold all your marabou feathers back. Having those get trapped in your composite loop and watching it spin up is kind of frustrating if you don't know that trick at first. Just keep doing that. Let this spin up real good. And I'm going to give this a nice pick. Get all these fibers out. And to some people, composite loops, I don't know, this might take longer, but I do like the way that it traps all the materials instead of having like one material, another material, another material. I do like the way that you could get all this in one wrapping phase instead of going back and doing so much.
My biggest thing with the composite loops is it's not as bulky. You can get a tighter wrap and all of it, sort of everything you want in that that bump is wrapped denser and tighter, and it's going to be a sparser looking fly, but still have that pop.
Yep, still pack the punch. I hear you. Yeah, I noticed that too. And if you really spend your time and pick all these materials out too, and then come back and brush it, what I try to do, and I think I heard Jerry French say it in one of his videos, he says you almost want to try and see your thread again through all your materials. It keeps it nice, and when you're wrapping it, like Jamie said, you can get those nice tight wraps in there.
Yeah.
If everything's just bulked up on here, you're gonna go to wrap it and it's just gonna take up way too much space on your fly, and then you're gonna, run out of space. And I give this, I'm pretty hard on these. I want all these loose materials to fall out now instead of falling out later.
A bulky fly isn't going to sink as quickly as a sparser fly too, right? So that's sort of the big thing, is it'll float in that water column where you want to get down in it.
Yeah, that buoyancy, you don't want that. So then I'm gonna take my fingers, I'm gonna get my fingers nice and damp, and I'm gonna lay all these, part all these backwards to where it creates kind of like a nice hackle, where you can wrap it nice and easy, get this nice and wet. It's gonna just make it lay down nice and thin. And then I'm gonna do these. I'm gonna do my first wrap. I do back on my body, kind of like backwards a little bit, so it gives me a little bit more space to work forward. And then I do these nice tight touching wraps because I am going to do a black head at the front here. But I'm gonna be covering those eyes with some rabbit. I'm doing these nice tight wraps, palmering all my material backwards.
Put black rabbit at the front there, Jordan.
Yeah. Create like a black and blue fly for myself.
For sure. Wish I had some black
Rabbit.
fox. Rabbit.
I'm gonna do
fox.
some rabbit.
What's the target species for the fly that you're tying right now?
Steelhead.
It's going to be steelhead.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm gonna be focusing on this for the next 3 months, is a steelhead. Maybe some bull trout, but I typically go very bland colors for my bull trout patterns. I go with my go-to is like olive and white. That is a banger for bull trout up here. Nice sculpin pattern or something, but I'll be throwing sculpins and throwing some of these streamers. This is the pattern, like if you guys haven't seen, this is another pattern like what we're tying right now, just different color variation. So I got all those materials in there and I have it locked down. I'm going to take my pliers. I'm going to head and pick some of these materials that got locked out or locked down in there. I'm going to give them a nice picking. And one thing I do like, I don't have a rotary vise. I'm not bougie enough to buy one yet. So I just rotate my fly on the tube because it spins on my vise here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pick that out on the bottom side. Rotate that back down. Okay. Then I'm gonna go ahead and pick it out just real quick. So I got my nice blue, right? I got a lot of blue on this fly, a little pink in the back, some black and purple rubber legs. A lot of movement in this fly with the marabou. Now we're gonna go ahead and put a dark nose on it. We're gonna put some black rabbit strip, and I got some black. I don't know if I want to use these ones. I might try and find my other ones real quick. I don't want to use my micros. Bear with me 1 second, folks. Look through my fucking bag of unorganized materials here. I'm like working on transforming a room in my house into a little man cave, fly tying, little dungeon, whatever you want to call it. I'm not quite there yet. All right, there we go. I got these rabbit strips and I want to show you guys this real quick. I got some micro strips here, which that's actually not, that's pretty nice. I might use that. I got these micro strips, which is like a little bit finer material. And then I got these zonker strips, and this material is a lot longer of material. It's almost like crosscut rabbit. If you guys don't know the difference between the crosscut I just got put on at my local fly shop, they told me the difference between crosscut and like zonker strips. I actually have one of them right here. I'll show you. So with a regular like rabbit tail or rabbit strip, all the materials are flowing with the hide backwards, right? So it gets you like a nice tail. Now, when you get some of that crosscut rabbit strips, nice for doing dubbing and stuff, the material is going like away from the hide, not with the hide. So it gives you a nice something to grab onto easier. Just easier to work with. Spinning it up. I'm gonna use that stuff. All right, so I'm gonna cut off maybe like 2 inches of this, or yeah, it's about 2 inches, I would say. Put that to the side real quick. Like I said, this is a little bit longer fly, but I don't know. I don't rush my flies. I just take my time. I do it for fun. So shout out to Jamie because you put me onto these loon pliers.
Yeah.
Dude, these things, whoo, big game changer.
And they're awesome, eh?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and do another composite loop right here real quick. About 4 inches again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Over my eye, give one wrap. Up, dub and spinner, and put that in my composite loop and put that to the side. Grab your good old pliers here. There's probably 1,000 different ways to do it, but I just hold the hair in my hand and I grip right on the other side of the hide with these pliers. And I'm still learning how to use these. But kind of put this in there, hold this close, kind of get it even, maybe open it up and pull them down just a little bit. Get all that in there, pull a little bit out so you have something to cut. Then I just take my scissors and cut this hide out. Gives you a nice rabbit, whatever you want to call it. Some rabbit hair to put in your composite loop. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in my composite loop. Now, still working at this, so if I drop all this hair and cuss a little bit, you guys are gonna have to bear with me. Go ahead and put all this in there. Hey. And we won. All right, so we got most of this in there. I'm gonna pull all these right to the edge and space it all out. I try to tap these all to where it's all pretty even. And then I'm gonna go ahead and create that 90 again and give it a spin, or let me pick this up just a little bit. So I take my time, like I said, with my predator wrap. I want try to get as much of these materials to touch the thread so that it will actually lock down. I feel like any materials that stack on top of each other, once you spin it, gives it a chance to slip out. So give that a nice spin. Let that spin up. And I like these materials locked down. So I'm gonna give this a nice spin again. Go ahead and pick out all these little materials that just got trapped in there. And then I give this a nice couple picks. Run this along your thread. Once again, what you're trying to accomplish with this composite loop is try and pick it thin enough to where you can see your thread partially again, so that you're not bulking up too much stuff there. I'm gonna take my Velcro brush and get rough with this real quick. Now we might not use all this rabbit, but my dad's always taught me rather have enough than not enough. So I'm gonna get my fingers wet again and part all this backwards. The water really does help, man. You don't want to be spitting all over your flies all the time. I'm super bad about doing it, but anytime I can, I'm gonna try to get some water and help from spitting all over my fly.
When I'm doing lots of composite loop work, I always got a glass of water nearby.
Yeah, I got like this little dish with a wet paper towel, like a damp paper towel in it.
Yep.
Works really good. I just get my fingertip wet, just part all that stuff backwards. When you get your materials wet too, guys, it really does help you lay it down nice and close to each other. Like, I don't know if you guys can see that, but like it's really thin. I'm gonna start my wrapping now. I'm gonna just palmer all this backwards if it starts spinning on you. I'm gonna try and get 3 wraps behind the eyes. So that's 1. That's 2. That's 3 behind the eyes. Now I'm gonna come up underneath the eyes here. Once you get above the eye, you're gonna go backwards and wrap until you get to that other eye, and just come just in front of that eye. Pull it backwards that way again to get it all to get backwards as far as you can. And we're gonna just repeat that process. Back, over, down, back, up, and then we're gonna lock all that stuff down. And what this does, gives it a nice little head. What I've noticed in the water too, when I'm swimming these, is that with the hair in front of the eye, it kind of gives it like a sculpin head, almost like that nice like hammer head in the water. It really, I think it moves water nice. It makes all the materials back here just go crazy. We're not quite done yet. I'm gonna put just a couple more materials in here, like some flash. Get all this materials back. Okay. How we doing on time, guys? What time is it? 8 o'clock. Okay. My fly's taking like what, 45 minutes or something.
All right, buddy.
So I locked that down. Got that all in and locked down. Fly's looking pretty dope in my opinion. Nice black and blue classic steelhead pattern. At least up here in the Northwest where I'm at. A lot of my fly shops, every time I go in there, I'm like, yo, what's the go-to steelhead colors? And they're like black and blue, purple, and then pink. Those are what I have been getting told. And then, you know, they say any type of prawn pattern for any type of fish that goes to the sea will work. All right, so we got that done. I'm going to take some crystal or crinkle mirror flash. Nice little tip for you guys. If you, I don't know, I mean, Jamie and Tyler, and you guys probably know these shits, but I cut like a little V out of my package here, right there. And then what that allows me to do is like put my scissors in there, grab one strand or however many strands you want, and just pull it out and keep your package looking brand new. I know you guys probably know that one. Hey, for you new guys,
Trick.
it's just a nice little trick. Pull this down, make it the same length. Same thing as your rubber legs. You're going to cut that 1 into 2. And then what I do with my flash is how this gets in my head, how I'm making this work, right? Is, you know, when you're in the, you see the fish in the water, they start rolling, you see that little flash. It's usually on the side of the fish, right? Or the belly. That's what I think about these. So I'm making these, I put these on almost all my flies. I put them directly on the sides of my fly.
Yep.
But it's just how it works in my brain.
That's
I'm
where
gonna
the
pull
lateral
these.
line of a fish is, so that's what makes sense.
Yep. Say that again. I didn't quite hear you.
But it's the lateral line of a fish, right? So that's where you want it.
Yep. Well, I'm glad that's at least my brain's working somewhat right. I'm gonna make these longer than all my materials. I just like the cosmetic look of these coming out the back. So I'm gonna lock this down on this side. One, two, three. I'm gonna pull it over. Let me just get that a little bit. Pull it over so they're about 50-50. I'm gonna pull this down on this side, and to get it to stay on that side, you pull it down, give one wrap over, and it locks it on that side. And then just pull it backwards where you want them. 1, 2, 3. So I got my flash in there now. Pretty much making like a V on top of the fly here. Keeping them down, going down. It keeps it on the side of the fly here. Get all this material up real quick. Now I'm like contemplating right now. I could finish the fly off and tie it off, but I'm thinking about putting some ostrich maybe dangling out the back. I just don't want to bulk up that nose too much. Kind of experimenting right now. I would usually be done with this fly. I did not add any ostrich on this fly, but I'm just kind of thinking it might look kind of dope. You know what? We're gonna do it. We're gonna do a couple strands. Forget it, right? I'm gonna do Ken's trick again. So I'm gonna put 2 on this side, on this top portion, 2 on that top portion, 2 on this bottom portion, 2 on that bottom portion. So get yourself some nice even strands. 1, 2. Go 1, 2. Go 1, 2. And go 1, 2. Cut off just a little bit too much. It's all right though. Get these going the same. I'm gonna make these a little bit longer than my blue marabou. So this top portion, get 1, 2. And what you can do when you're doing your wraps in your head, remember how many wraps you do. So I did 2, locking down those 2 there on that over that eye. Now I'm gonna go over this eye, pull them about the same length. Lock this down. So 1, 2, and then adjust them where you want them. All right, get those adjusted. I'm gonna rotate my fly to where the bottom portion's on the top now. Take my other 2. So I kind of place like the 2 over this eye, the 2 over that eye. Now I'm gonna place these 2 under this eye and under that eye. But I'm gonna kind of cross these so that they are not going to lay with each other. So those just a little longer. Going to cross this, loose wrap, lock it, 1, 2. Pull that down where you want it. Get your last 2 ostrich strands here. Cross this over the top here. And 1, 2, right? So we got all those locked down. 2, 4, 6, 8. We got 8 wraps locking those down. I'm gonna back those off now. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All my ostrich is free right now. But don't lose your pinch, because if you lose your pinch, all your stuff's gonna move. Keep this pinched. Give a nice loose wrap and grab all those materials and lock them down. 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna do 4 just to be sure here. Now give these all a nice display. Pull those off to the side, rotate this back upright. and then trim off all your excess. And then at this point, just create a nice head. I'm gonna lock all those materials down right there and trim off that little bit right there. Okay. It's all locked down nice. This fly is looking dope. And then little trick that I was taught to, I already told you guys, but go ahead and paint your thread. So I was struggling a lot with my flies. I would try to put my head cement on and I would end up touching some of my materials and it would gunk it all up. And it was just really driving me crazy. So I don't know where I heard this at, but they took their head cement, whatever you're using. I'm using Shelly Hansen's. Shout out to Jamie there. Put me onto that too. And I'm just gonna paint my thread again. Right? You're gonna paint some head cement on your thread and then give these final wraps. And I start at the back and I work my way forward. And this is applying head cement throughout your whole thread system here. And then give a nice whip finish. I do 1, 2, 3, and I do this 3 times. So 1, 2, 3, 1. Oop, don't lock nothing. 2. Come on, baby. 3. Lock that down. This is your last one that you're gonna do. I make these steelhead flies where I can fish these bad boys seasons. If I don't lose it in a snag or something. You're going to, with tube flies, you're not done yet. Most time with like hooks you'll be done. It's got my nice ostrich kind of spacing out here all over. I like these too when I put them over the eyes like that. The reason I cross them is because it does make them stick down like that. And in the water, it just, all these bad boys are wiggling like Ramachamas there. So nice little black and blue intruder. It's a little long, but I'm tying up. I got so many little micro patterns in my box right now from this last trout season and stuff. I needed some bigger flies, so I'm trying to tie these couple next ones bigger, but when it's wet, it'll have that nice teardrop shape. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this off with cutting off the edge of my tube here and burning it and giving it that nice finish. I like cutting my tubes with a razor blade. It gives you a nice clean finish. Like, see, it gives you like a factory cut. And then you're going to pull all your materials back. You're gonna get yourself a lighter. Use just the blue.